is now time for our feature presentation. Spoiler warnings. It's time for our first review of the night. This is 1992's Dr. Lamb.
影咗啦，
有咩用啊？口影啫嘛，屍體都未揾到點撞佢啊！
呢條友嘅智商係非常之高，遊戲而家先開始，認真玩下我哋，大家打醒12個精神啦！
哇！你做咩嚟？做乜嘢啊？黐線啊！企喺度，企喺度，企喺度，乜嘢啊？企喺度。
點解你貼起我張相？你 keep 住呢份報紙咁耐，你係咪好留戀呢單 case？
唔係，係你。
Alright, Dwayne, we're going to do Dr. Lamb. So, for those of you who don't know what this is a 1992 horror film. And it's basically a movie where the cops are hunting down a serial killer. And they find a guy who they believe to be the killer. And they bring him into the police station. And that's basically the plot of the movie. And let's go ahead and dive in. This will be spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen it, if you want to watch it, it is kind of hard to find, but if you want to watch it, this is your time now to do so. Let's dive in. Dwayne, what are your thoughts?
I like Dr. Lamb. Like you said about spoilers, it's a you kind of think maybe, he's not the killer. They kind of give some shadow in there, like maybe he's not the killer, a little shadow of doubt, that kind of thing. But then when he's at the police station and the cops are beating the shit out of him trying to get a confession out of him, how they used to do and stuff.
I was like, God damn, they're torturing him.
They're beating him in the feet with sticks and everything, all kinds of good stuff. But when he actually starts telling them what happened, yeah, he's definitely a killer.
Yeah. And they were really smart about it. Like, every cop but one I thought was a mess. There's the one cop who loved the abuse. There was like the fat cop who was lazy. There was the girl cop who was useless. And then she was useless. She was the most useless cop I've ever seen. Like, she would cry half the movie. She threw up more than once. She's like, I was like, fire this bitch, damn. And I'm all for girl cops. She was just a bad girl cop. Like, if you were a female cop watching this movie, you'd be like, God damn, this bitch is making us look bad. She's a bad cop. And then you got the police captain, who's actually a good cop. He's only the smart one. The others is almost like an episode of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And then you got the one good cop over here. And he was the only one smart one. If it wasn't for him, they probably wouldn't have got the confession. Because his idea was to grill the family, make them where they hated him, and then let the family loose on him. That's when he confessed. Then he goes, yes, okay, I did it. Because then his family's like, fuck you. And this guy, like, at first you want to root for him because, like, at first, like, you have no proof he's the killer. The cops are torturing him, so you kind of, like, go on his side. And then they turn the tables, and then it's like, oh yeah, he molested his, like, 9-year-old niece. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, fuck him then. And then he gets worse and worse and worse the more you go. Holy shit, Dwayne, this movie is fucked up. This is the first Chinese film we reviewed, and this one, I was watching this, I was like, I thought they were a little more strict on their movies. But this one was like, America would be like, oh shit, I don't know if they should release this. This one was fucked up, Dwayne.
Yeah, they start out in the beginning showing him as a kid where, like, he's pulling some girl's pants down,
Yeah.
he's getting beat up for it. Then he's watching his dad and his stepmom have sex, and he gets caught watching them. So you think maybe he's already going to have a fucked up life, thinking about all the stuff he's done.
He's obsessed with sex.
Yeah, and like you said at the beginning, you're like, well, maybe he's not the bad guy, maybe something happened, but then as
I
you
thought
go
it was
along,
going to be a twist, and it was his
Yeah.
brother.
somebody else.
But no.
Nah, it was him.
And holy shit. So after this movie kind of jumps genres. I feel at first it felt like a cop movie,
Yep.
and then it halfway, I guess right in the halfway point, he goes into each kill, and the whole genre just flips around. It's almost like a cop comedy, and then it goes into just a fucked up horror film. And he goes over each kill. He's like a taxi driver. And the first girl he killed was like vomiting everywhere. She's like grabbing his head as he's driving her around. I was like, you know what? I probably would have killed her too. But it brings her home and cuts her up. By the way, if you ever just want a movie that's like full of titties, this is the goddamn one. There are more fucking titties in this movie than probably any fucking movie I've ever seen. There was like Chinese girls naked everywhere. So, the movie's got that going for it. He cuts up this woman with a fucking brutally with this
Circular saw.
Yes, holy shit.
Another circular saw.
Yeah, we just keep finding them in these movies. Oh man, and he keeps going on. He kills like 4 girls in like a span of like a year.
Yeah.
Maybe not even it's like a 6 months to a year. And like one girl, he ends up cutting her fucking titty off and putting it in a jar. It's like, Jesus Christ. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. Like you said, he ends up killing these ladies. He picks them up at night and ends up killing them.
And only on rainy days too.
Yeah, it's like the rain caused them to go crazy.
Yeah.
And then, you don't know, maybe like because a couple times they show where like the lightning will strike and his face will change. So you think maybe the lightning maybe affects his brain or something and he goes a little more psycho. But he kills him, takes him back to his house, takes him to the room he shares with his brother. And he shares a house with his dad and his sister and his niece.
Yeah.
And he cuts these bodies up, and then he ends up having to like clean the whole house before they get back and stuff. And then like the dad's like, "Hey, what's all that stuff?" And he's like, "Nothing. It's just trash." And he throws the bags in the river or something like that. But yeah, there's
It's almost like a pre-Dexter, because he used plastic, put them in bags, and dumped them. Except Dexter wasn't a sloppy idiot. This guy's a sloppy killer. Like he had severed titty in his jar. He had some other body parts in jars, and like he got caught because he went to go develop the fucking pictures. I was like, what a dumbass! He is sloppy and dumb.
Yeah, it's different. Like I said, he got caught because he's trying to get the pictures developed of dead bodies.
Yeah.
That wasn't very bright there.
No. Also, I was wondering, like, the scene where he's getting tortured by the police and, like, when they get him to confess. I'm surprised he didn't confess because he kind of just looked like a wimp through a lot of this movie, did he not?
He did, but you see when they were torturing him, it was like he didn't even make a peep. Like he was trying to hold it. Like they were beating his feet with sticks or punching him in the head, beating him in the back with sticks, and like he didn't make a sound. So just a psycho.
Now, Dwayne, I don't know about you, but the movie did start out slow. Up to the point he confessed, I thought the movie was kind of going slow. Another thing I'll talk about is the scene where they go to his house and they just discover the jars and they discover the severed titty jar. That they fucking fumbled that shit so bad. The cops were fumbling it on top. One of the cops dropped the severed titty on the girl's back, and she was like freaking out and vomiting everywhere. I was like, what kind of? It's like the movie was kept jumping genres a little bit. It was still horror because there's a severed titty flying around, but it's still like in a way comedic and just slapstick almost. Dwayne, what do you think about all that?
Yeah, like you said, it starts off like a whodunit, and then you find out it's him, and then he finally confesses, and he takes them to their house, and they start finding evidence in the house, and like the part where they're like, well, where'd you hide the bodies? And he has like a cupboard under the bed, and he tells that female cop to get in there so they can see how he put the bodies in there. Well, then she got in there a little bit, and she started jumping out, screaming and crying and everything. Yeah. And I was like,
bad cop.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Dwayne, this movie wasn't gonna get a great score from me. However, one scene for me changed my perception a bit, and it was towards the end. It was his final kill. The one girl he said was pure and innocent, and he didn't want to kill her. He brought the very last girl he killed. She was in the back of a seat, and she was like a good girl. And he was telling her how pure and innocent she was. And she rightly got concerned and freaked out by him. And I guess, I don't know why he just wanted to keep her there to tell her how pure and innocent she was. Like if you ever watch a lot of like horror films, killers think whores are like, I guess what, worse than nothing, and or worse killing, and then girls were pure and innocent. I don't know. It's just like the serial killer psyche, and then like he locked her out, and then like she was freaking out. Dwayne, this is like my first scene of the movie, and like he's trying to just say, hey, no, it's okay, I'm a cool guy, and then it started raining. And Dwayne, this scene here gave it 1 point up for me. And there's a scene on the shot where she is like on the front and the back, on her head back on the window, and you can see him. And then on the right side of her head, he's like, no, and he's showing his like innocence. But when the camera pans to the left side, you can see his evil side. And he's like, I don't know. It's just a beautiful shot. I was like, damn, maybe that scene there. I was like, this is. If I want to watch that movie again, I want to watch it for this scene here. That scene was just fucking great. Where like you see both sides of him, both his personalities on each side of her. I thought that was just a beautiful shot. And she eventually gets out of the car, but he chases her down. And there's like a cop, what was it, like a trailer?
Yeah.
In the middle of this woods. But for some reason they didn't answer. The lights were on, but no one fucking answered. And he caught up to her and killed her. And that was just the end of the movie. And then after he confessed, like 6 months later, the main captain went to go visit him. And you could see he's reenacting the kills in his head and his cell. And that's kind of how the movie ends. Dwayne, any final thoughts?
Yeah, when you're talking about the reenacting, when they were interrogating him, when he finally started confessing, he started going through the act, like reenacting what he was doing to the people.
Yeah, he did it in the beginning too.
And then it's like, yeah, you're seeing him relive it all and everything. And then some of the evidence they found was some videotapes, and when they started watching the videotapes, some of the people got really upset when they watched the videotapes.
Oh yes, let's dive into that scene.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to do
ahead.
it? Okay. So I believe this is his last girl, right? Yeah. The only girl he killed that he found pure, he brought her. He brings them to his house to cut them up, and before he cut her up, he had her in a chair. And he goes, we're both virgins, so let's lose our virginity together. And he fucked her dead corpse. That's right, gang. Necrophilia. We did it in France with a severed head. That turned out not to be real. But this movie, we dive into necrophilia again. This time, a little more vivid. And of course, when they're watching it on camera, the girl cop threw up everywhere. It's like, ah! I was like, oh my god, why is she on here? Like, the cops are horrible. And also, Dwayne, did the cops kind of take it out of it, the movie a little bit at times?
Yeah, there is like a 10-minute scene when the cops are playing cards, and once they're cheating, like the fat cop. And,
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why am I even watching this? I guess they had to make it an hour and a half long movie, but some of the scenes they added in could have been more important to the story.
Yeah, like it's almost like half fucked up horror film, half goofy cop movie. I was like, that's a weird way to do it. Maybe to take some of the darkness out of it, put some humor into it. Yeah. I almost forgot about the necrophilia scene. This is how fucked up this movie is. Alright, Dwayne, final thoughts and grade.
Okay, so he's a murderer. He's probably got like a split personality because, like you said, even with that video part when he's having sex with the body, the female, last one he killed, he's like talking nice to her, and then he turns his head and looks at the camera and starts getting like an evil grin and everything.
Yeah.
So you got a serial killer, you got necrophilia, you got murders, you got molestation, all kinds of stuff. Like you talked about, the first half of the movie was really slow. It was probably going to be I thought it was going to be like a horrible movie to watch. I was like, this is like a 3 or 4. This isn't good. But then the end, once he confessed and starts telling about the murders, raised it back up. So I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay. These are my pros and cons for Dr. Lamb. Pros. Vicious, bloody film. Really good visuals and camera work. Lots of Chinese boobies. Cons. It has lots of slow points. Goofy cops that kind of take you out of the mood for this kind of film. A slow first half. Well, Dwayne, I was going to give this movie a 5 until the scene I was talking about where he's on one side of her and you can see both his personalities through the window. And that bumped it up for me. So I'm giving Dr. Lamb 6 severed titties in a jar out of 10.